Yo guys, just ran 4 miles and today I did meet all my goals and I'm very happy about that because I worked very hard to focus on keeping a good pace throughout each mile and it worked. I was concerned about the workout today because I've been really sore and really tight, so I'm gonna refocus my efforts on stretching and see if I can try to break out of that cycle. So today I was thinking about how to get out of cycles that are no longer serving you. I've been thinking about this idea of progress as like leapfrogging from one overlapping cycle of feedback loops into another. And this image was really coherently mirrored in the YouTube video by Ray Dalio that I just watched about how people can push each other forward and you can kind of leverage optimism by ignoring certain implementation details for the short term. So like how far can that go before it leads to kind of a crash or a reckoning or a re-evaluation? And when that happens, how do you gracefully experience the down cycle, and how can you detect when it's about to happen so that you can either try to release yourself from the loop or you can at least observe it as it happens so that you can maybe learn some of how to control for what you don't know and how to know what you don't control. I was thinking about how in the last big job that I had before I sort of slowly fell behind on my rent was a job where I suspected that I would never be paid, and every night I sat up worrying, like, should I warn these people that their way of doing business is going to lead to me not being paid, and should I explain their issues to them, or should I just try to suck it up and hope for the best? And the interesting thing is that by thinking in that way, I may have contributed to the breakage of the project and led my expectation that I wouldn't be paid may have led to the reality that I wasn't paid. And I knew that at the time that I was having these sleepless nights, that was a distinct possibility. And I thought very seriously about trying to warn these people that we were in this pattern. I think about what I learned from Eben, which is that when you experience a loss, you can turn it into a lesson which is worth 10 times what you lost. And I think that is a plausible interpretation of my experience of this year. But it's interesting because on the one hand, like, breaking out of the cycle might have meant telling them that they were headed for a problem. And I think the main reason that they were headed for a problem was related to kind of a, not waterfall, but a very deadline-oriented project management style rather than a feedback-oriented project management style. And, both approaches are important, especially in the context of a very buttoned-up corporate business environment. So it wasn't a clear-cut situation, but since we were trying to do the project on the budget that we had, I think it was definitely questionable whether to. Anyway, I'm not sure if my concerns were 100% on the money, but I did have the premonition that things were headed in the direction where they wound up being. So on the one hand, breaking out of that cycle might have meant quitting the job and leaving them to their own mess. But on the other hand, it might have meant warning them that we were not giving each other the things we needed to succeed. And so it's not clear what breakage of a loop really implies. It's not clear whether giving up means 180 degrees or 90 degrees. So I'm really at this point in my reflection, I don't feel like I have a good answer for how you know when one of your feedback loops is starting to break, like Daenerys, break the wheel. How do you know when the shifting circumstances are no longer going to support a gentle transition, but are going to lead the whole wheel to come off the axle, and you're going to collide with a universe even larger than the one that you know? So yeah, go ahead and let me know what you think. I do have another example of how, okay, so here's a thought that I do have about how to gracefully get out of a down cycle. So on Twitter, every day I've been asking for tracks, and after 16 days or 17 days, I haven't gotten any suggestions. So I'm thinking, well, okay, I know there's a lot of musicians on Twitter, but most of the people who follow me on Twitter are not active Twitter users. I don't have much of a following. Most of my tweets only get seen about 40 times. So I think that may be partially related to the fact that I follow people so quickly that I wind up following many more people than follow me. And I don't worry so much about reciprocity of the graph, and I don't worry so much about the directness of the graph. I just try to follow everyone who seems like they might be interesting. And I've gone through to unfollow some people, but a lot of them still have some interesting stuff for me. So I haven't really changed the ratio very much, and I think that makes it harder for people to follow me, which is okay. But at the same time, I am getting new followers every day, so I know that the process is still ongoing, and that's my thing. When I cut my losses, I don't need to exit entirely. I can just cut back, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Instagram to ask for track suggestions, see if that network can be a little more stimulated, because I know that it's a network that's more sensitive to things like working out. So the health aspect of the project, I think, might resonate pretty well with Instagram. I'm not sure if the musical aspect will, because I'm still in the mid 8 minutes range, and music like that is pretty niche. I don't know if there's that many like people who listen to trance or anything, or deep dub techno on Instagram, but I'll look for some. And at the same time, a couple weeks from now, I may be getting into the like high 7 minute range. I mean, even potentially in less time than that, I'll be able to work out while being accompanied by music that fits more cleanly into like the electro or tech house melange. So my goal is to kind of cut my losses, but not completely cut my gifts to the network, to just try to lower the quantity and increase the quality. And I actually, come to think of it, I think that's a pretty good description of what I've been able to accomplish with Facebook over the last month. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and check out what I've been doing there. It's all public and it's all very educational. And apart from that, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for coming to my channel.